Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Education Minister awaiting report on altercation between Newell High School teacher and student. Tense calm at Seaforth High School following reports of financial breaches. And later in sports, Novak Djokovic and Tsitsipas set to clash in Australian Open final. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. A detailed report from Newell High School in St. Elizabeth on what triggered the incident in which a male teacher issued death threats to a student is to be presented to Education Minister Favour Williams. The school board is meeting today to discuss the incident.
Education Minister Favour Williams is taking a zero-tolerance approach to violence in schools and has urged educators to seek help from colleagues when they no longer feel they are in control. It follows this video of an altercation between a teacher and a student of the Newell High School in St. Elizabeth. The video has been widely circulated on social media. The video also showed the educator verbally assaulting, chasing, and threatening the male student. Speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106 on Friday, Mrs. Williams said she cannot accept that the teacher was overwhelmed. She says he had options available to de-escalate the situation.
You have cell phones. It's deans of discipline. They're on campus. They're on the school ground. Call them. If they don't feel they can manage the situation, you have vice principals, you have principals. And if it's a situation where the police needs to be called in, call them. But as a teacher, you're a role model. We're trying to stomp out violence in school. We're trying to tell society that we have normalized violence and we need to move from that space where we recognize what we're doing to ourselves, to our children, and that if we don't stop, we're going to get a society in which it will be unbearable to live. We have to condemn these things in our classrooms.
Mrs. Williams outlined the process for the internal investigation and the submission of a report to her office.
The board should be meeting today. They would have gathered all the information I witnessed, students who've witnessed, other adults who've witnessed it, and they will deliberate today, and some decision will be reached. There should be a disciplinary hearing and so on. So I have to wait for that process to be completed and for the report to be sent and then to see what's the next step.
The Office of the Children's Advocate and the police are also investigating the incident. In the meantime, the minister says that her ministry will be reviewing conflict resolution initiatives. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
There has been a tense calm at the Seaforth High School in St. Thomas since the school's principal and bursar were sent on leave on Thursday following reports of financial breaches at the institution. When our news team visited the school on Monday, teachers were tight-lipped on the matter. However, sources told us the issue has not affected the operations of the school. Now, we were told the vice principal is now in charge of the school, while the principal, Calbert Thomas, is on leave. The decision to send the principal and bursar of the school on leave Thursday came out of a board meeting. They will remain off the job pending the outcome of the investigation by the school personnel committee. It followed months of investigation by the Education Ministry, which found a number of financial issues at the school, to include non-remittance of deductions. According to a financial management report seen by our news center, the school's administrators withheld more than $21 million in employees' personal deductions and pension payments for the period September 2021 to September 2022. Opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, is again imploring the government to look at other sectors to boost the country's gross domestic product, GDP. He says the two-year COVID-19 pandemic opened up significant opportunities for which the country can reap significant benefits outside of traditional sectors. One such, he says, is the work-from-home sector.
But there's always going to be an element of people who will work from a remote location. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter where you are. And we have a number of advantages, which again, I believe we should be exploiting, encouraging, and promoting. We have the advantage of the best airline connections within the Caribbean region. We have the advantage of great telecommunications infrastructure. which allows someone who is here with high-speed internet access to do whatever they need to do here, wherever their physical location may be. And there are significant opportunities for growing our economy this way.
He says while there will be concerns such as taxation, those issues can be addressed.
I believe we have double taxation treaties with most of the countries where people will be coming from to deal with that. Persons may have a concern about insurance. If they get ill here, what kind of services they would be able to access. Again, that's something that I believe we can deal with. So that, for me, positioning Jamaica as a work-from-home location, even now, is one which I believe we can do and take advantage of.
Mr. Robinson says as for the outsourcing sector, the country should seek to improve service delivery. He says currently Jamaica is operating at the lower end of that sector compared to other countries.
Significant investment in education and training, and by education I'm not talking just about traditional schooling, but training and preparing people for what those emerging opportunities are. Whether it is in legal outsourcing, whether it is in accounting, whether it is in taxation. There's a plethora of opportunities out there, which again, we are only scratching the surface on. We have everything, all the components. We have the infrastructure, we have people, but we may not have the numbers of persons who are trained and skilled in the particular areas that we can take advantage of it.
A Clarendon-based businessman believes the government should use the ongoing Highway 2000 extension project in Clarendon and Manchester as a chance to improve several pieces of critical infrastructure in Maypen. The businessman, who spoke with our news team off camera, said he didn't want to risk being victimized, but said he is voicing his concerns in the hope the authorities consider his suggestions.
Fine, we have a major road development going on linking Maypen to Newell and say Kingston to Manchester then, right? But what happened to the Maypen Bridge? Why the Prime Minister don't ask the China check for people them to build a new bridge leading into Maypen? The Bustamante Highway, right? It's a disgrace. We're talking about a highway that is named after the ruling leader and founder of the Jamaica Labour Party, Mr. Alexander Bustamante, and is the worst piece of road ever in Clarendon. Where is the growth and development for this parish?
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie has given the clearest indication yet that construction may soon start on the Highgate Meat Market in St. Mary. The facility was destroyed by a fire in July 2022, allegedly after an appliance was left plugged in. Since then, vendors and butchers have been without covering and electricity. Some were given permission to build temporary structures on the premises without any clear timeline when work will start to rebuild the facility. But at the recent opening of 2 social housing units in St. Mary, the local government minister said funds will be ready soon.
We have also released some funds to put in a temporary meat market at Highgate, which was burnt down. And we are now working on a new design for a new built Highgate market.
Vulnerabilities, including the possibility of stampedes, were exposed during a fire drill at the Homestead Primary and Infant School in St. Catherine this week, as students rushed to gather at the assembly point on the school grounds. It's one of the issues Parish Disaster Coordinator Yashika Thompson says the Municipal Corporation and Fire Department will try to have the Education Ministry address as they work to make schools safer during disasters like earthquakes and fires. The drill was part of Earthquake Awareness Month activities being carried out across St. Catherine in January under the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM's sensitization campaign. Now this year, the month is being observed under the theme, Earthquake Awareness is in your control.
So for most of the schools, the entrance and exit gates to the school are too small. So in particular for this school, emergency vehicle would not be able to come out. The gate that they have for the assembly area, that gate is too small, and a recommendation letter will be sent to the Ministry of Education to have them rectify this issue, along with other minor issues that we see as well.
She says after the recommendations have been made in a report to the Education Minister's Region 6 office, a follow-up visit will be done to check if the issues have been fixed. And with some insight into how to manage your money properly, Cody and Barrett joins me in studio with her weekly tips.
We're coming to the end of the topic for this month, budgeting. We're wrapping up with the final step, which is setting goals. But what are financial goals and why are they so important? I spoke with financial advisor Granville Knight, who gave some answers.
If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Setting financial goals will help you to be prepared for the life that you want. According to Mr. Knight, goals give direction and purpose for your life and will enable you to be financially stable in the long run.
What you need to determine is, in 2 to 3 years' time, what's going to be the most important thing to me. So you don't want to spend your first year's worth of income just a party and a go out every weekend, and then when you look, the money I could have spent could have been used as part of a deposit towards a home, or could it be used to start in an investment account. And mind you, I know that there's an initial spending period when you just start work. I know most of my other financial advisors will say, hey, what? It's okay to blow your first paycheck when you just start work, because anybody worked before, so you have some back expenses, and of course you want to treat yourself. But after that, from that second paycheck going forward, you want to use that to start get yourself in order. And that is about prioritizing what is going to be most important in the long run. Your goals give you more meaning to your life. Not only that, it helps you cut away the distractions. And so it helps you to meet the right people as well.
Here's a tip for how to set goals. Use the SMART method. The SMART acronym refers to specific, be as defined as possible with the desired goal. Measurable, decide how you will measure success. Achievable, ensure the set goal is realistic and possible to complete or maintain within the set time frame. Relevant, make sure the goal itself aligns with values and long-term goals and objectives. Timely, have a clearly defined timeline, including a starting date and a target date. The purpose is to create urgency. Defining these parameters as they pertain to your goal helps ensure that your objectives are attainable within a certain time frame.
And if you're unsure what type of goals you should set, tune in to Primetime News this evening at 7 to find out what financial goals you should have as part of your budget. Shane?
Thanks, Cody N. And it's now time for the Business Minute.
The government is pursuing the creation of a Twin Peaks model of financial sector supervision and regulation, which has been programmed for implementation within 18 to 24 months. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said that the model is intended to improve the existing sector-by-sector based regulatory approach, which sees the Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, supervising deposit-taking institutions, with the Financial Services Commission having oversight for non-bank financial institutions. In business overseas, retailer Bed Bath & Beyond says it can no longer pay its debts. According to a Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) filing on Thursday, the home goods company says it defaulted on its credit line with JP Morgan Chase on or around January 13. The retailer says it could be forced to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization. The company also added that it is cutting costs, closing stores, and lowering capital expenditures. And coming up in the Business Review this Sunday, we're revisiting our Jamaican roots through an authentically Jamaican fashion brand. That's it for the Business Minute this week. I'm Cody Ann Barrett. And coming up in the Business Review this Sunday, we're revisiting our Jamaican roots through an authentically Jamaican fashion brand. That's it for the Business Minute this week.
And it's now time for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the Bahamas government has ordered the immediate departure of all diplomatic personnel from Haiti or as soon as security conditions permit.
This comes after a spate of police killings by armed gangs in Haiti. Officials say at least 10 officers have been killed in the last week, with many more injured. According to Bahamas Minister of Foreign Affairs, Frederick Mitchell, the security situation in Haiti has become less stable over the last 3 days, and he is taking these steps out of an abundance of caution. On the international scene, the Ukraine sports minister says his country could boycott the 2024 Paris Olympics if Russian and Belarusian athletes are allowed to participate. However, the International Olympic Committee says it is seeking a pathway for Russians to take part in the Games despite the invasion of Ukraine. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, many sports organizations have moved events and suspended Russian teams or athletes, while sponsors have ended contracts in protest against the war. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Herman Green will have your midday sports report.